Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to post-race coverage of the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 Championship here at the Interlagos de Interlagos circuit here, home of the famous F1 Brazilian Grand Prix. I am the host and commentator for today's post-race coverage of the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 race, SLM. We have another exciting day here of GT3 action for you here today. Now with Elliott F64 in the number 64 Nissan GTR, and then right behind him is, of course, second in the points for the pro category SLM, who's been on a charge as of late, just trying to claw back as much of a deficit as he can. And so he's just, like I said, doing the best he can. Of course, I do apologize for the stream. It is a bit laggy. But, of course, the post-race coverage later in this episode does fix that laggy issues, of course. Credit to those who provided the replays as well for that. And so, yeah, already, like I said, yeah, so, like you can see here, the lag is just very bad. There was TGIS in the 911 RSR Porsche. The number 78, of course, it looks like he is currently the fastest guy, pro guy on the track at the moment. Once again, we're running a combined pro-am category here today for the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 Championship. Of course, pro-am numbers are low, once again, as I have stated, but of course that provides us the best multi-class bit of racing for you guys as well. And of course, it doesn't look like it's that good if it is laggy, unfortunately. So, TGIS, there was once again Elliott, who looks to be taking a bit of a shortcut through turn numbers 1 and 2, so the number 64, probably something he didn't like about Ure, so he's probably addressing him with about that. Ure slows on up to clear this penalty, and there is the championship leader in the 95 Mercedes-AMG. Swift has been on an absolute charge here late in this season. He's the only person who has succumbed at least 5 wins this season, so if he wins this or the next race at the Nordschleife, he will amass a 50% winning ratio, and of course that will be something he's very, very proud of course. So, of course, he will do the best that he can to try and not get Uri any closer to himself, but of course we'll have to find out. This man, though, fastest overall, death spawns in the 38 Toyota Supra, and we're going to start qualifying here, of course, in the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 Championship for Pro and Pro-Am, so both classes on the same track at the same time. And we're looking at a exciting qualifying here as well. So who's going to be the first one to go out on track? And it will be the number 64 of Elliott. So the Nissan GTR, hoping to be very, very quick here, of course. And Elliott, like I said, just really, really, really trying to get the maximum out of he can out of this twin-turbo V6 platform that was known as Godzilla. Yeah, there's the lag again, unfortunately, and that does get fixed after qualifying, so a little bit of video editing, of course, helps. There was Swift in the 95, and there is the BMW M6, the number 24 of SLM Palmer, who unfortunately made the announcement saying that he will be leaving the SLM League at the end of the GT3 and MX5 Cup Championship. Of course, he is in contention for the MX5 Cup Championship, but of course he is third. He is in a 4th place spot, trying to fight for 3rd position within this Pro Championship with another competitor, of course. But he, like I said, Palmer will be very, very missed within the SLM community, of course. There's Elliott leading the way, and of course here's an interesting development. James had in number 7, as he's made a late season switch. The Nissan GTR, apparently the Ford Mustang was not suiting him fancy enough, so of course he switched over to Godzilla to try and eat up some serious points left in the championship that he can get. There is Doug Barrow, who will lead the way for the pro guys, and will start setting the benchmark for pro qualifying. Of course, way down the order. Here's a man who's way up the order in the championship. That is Ben 85. As a matter of fact, he is the man who's actually battling SLM Palmer for 3rd place in the standings. He's 3rd place, but he's only up in 3rd place by 1 measly point over SLM Palmer. So And keep in mind, Ben 95 has got the championship leader Swift behind him, so Swift's going to get a bit of a tow here from this number 8 Toyota Supra. He's run the Lexus platform, but did a mid-season switch over to this Toyota, so he's staying very, very brand-friendly to this Toyota Lexus brand and corporation, of course. So the Toyota Supra looking very, very speedy around here, of course, at the Autodrome de Carlos Pache circuit, home of the famous Brazilian Formula 1 Grand Prix. There is Swift in the 95, 27 points ahead of Ure. We'll get an onboard shot of his car. So what you see is what the driver sees. A bit of a lag spike there. Once again, of course, like I said, this does get fixed later in the episode. So while we wait for Swift to start setting his lap, we'll turn our attention elsewhere. Now we're going to look at the Swift. And so qualifying laps starting to come in right now. Swift does go to the top by 18,000 of a second. Ryra, Elliott goes fastest of them all. And of course, these guys going extremely fast over here. There's going to be another one. So where is Ure on track is the question. James Head going fourth fastest. Deathspawn going seventh overall. Seventh overall, but that means Ure will get that pole position by 11,000ths of a second over Elliott. So this man in the Audi R8 is on a mission to try and claw back as many points as he can over Swift. Grand J10 in the number 15, setting a 37.5. Cameron in the SRT Viper, setting a 35. Chris Crow with a 33.6. So SL Palmer can only best 8th for the time being. Dirdude only 9th, who's a little ways down. He's actually been waiting for this traffic to clear on by so he can get a clean run at a Pro-Am pole, which is currently owned by Death Spawn in that Toyota Supra. That Toyota Supra in the Pro-Am class is just absolutely on it here for the time being. The yellow flag's right about now, so someone's obviously slowing up. Oh, Dirdude's had a spin. He's had a spin in the championship leading number 14. That's not going to be much. So Doug Barrow and what looks like Palmer will come in for some fresh rubber. James Head only 5,000 slower than Ure, and he's only 6,000 faster than Elliott. So the top three only separated by 11,000ths of a second. You cannot ask for a closer qualifying. And Elliott, there he is right there. And I think he's getting held up by Ryrod. He gets hit with a penalty, a 5-second contact penalty. So I assume he's been scrapping it out with Ryrod for a little bit. And that's not good. TGIS into the pits. And Ryrod, I think the lag spike is kind of hard to tell whether they're actually getting into one another. We're not 100% sure. Grand J10 improves to a 35.5. I'm not sure if that's much of an improvement. Oh, Elliott might have been hit off wide, actually. And he has. You can see the third place car in the background there. Let's see who else we can take a look at right about now. We're going to take our eyes onto Doug Barrow with the 13 and Hairraiser, who's not been doing very, very well. Chris the Crow, 13th overall in the number 71 Aston Martin. Cameron in this 46 SRT Viper. We haven't seen much of Cameron this season because of university studies, but was able to find some time and get another race in from Interlagos. We last saw him at Monza, but this, of course, this will be his second start of the season, so we're hoping to see more of him next season. Grand J10 in the 15, back of the grid, 5 seconds off Ure, hoping to improve on that time as well. So Ure at the front of the field, going to come through to finish another lap and start another one. So this one, 7 tenths slower, so no improvement. No improvement from TGIS nor Hairraiser, so Ure about to start another lap. And at the moment, Swift in 4th, but is only a 10th and 3/4 behind. So we set a 31 dead, but he's still got to find some room to get a 38 or lower. Grand GT3 improves. Cameron also improves, but that is at the bottom half of the grid. And so with 2.5 minutes to go, what will Swift do? His tires are pretty worn. Go back to Elliott now, because I'm assuming he's on in a lap. He's cleared that penalty as a matter of fact. He's probably looking to finish up this lap. There's Death Spawns in 7th overall, first in Pro-Am, so he's holding on to that pole position for a long shot. Ooh, very sideways, that number 64, and Swift is going to come into the pits, so the 95 is going to try and get a new set of rubber to try and dethrone the poleman Ure, the Spaniard. So what can he do? Doug Barrow sets a new lap of a 31, but still not enough for the top 8, so he's got to try again. There's that lag spike once again, but Swift going to absolutely be on it here today. So Swift going to let the traffic on by. James had Doug Barrow including those. Hair Razor improves to a 31.8. TGIS once again back in the pits for a second time, so I think he's not satisfied with that lap. There is Ure. Palmer does improve. He's still not, but he's still only in P9. Benel 85 does improve to a 30.9, which only got him 4th fastest, so he actually passes Swift. So what a run for the German in the number 8 with just about a minute to go. So I think this will be his final lap for qualifying. So he's really on it. Toyota very, very good on tire wear for the most part. He is still a 10.5 down off of Elliott, and also 10.5 down on Ure, so you can tell pole position to 3rd place very, very close. And there is Swift rounding the 2nd to final corner, and now rounding this long sweeping left-hander, which is the final corner. There's James Head in front. We're going to get a bird's eye view on board now with Swift. He's got to absolutely make these new set of rubber. He's got to make this fresh set of rubber work in his favor. 5th gear now, down to 2nd gear for number 1. Ure accumulating a 5 times penalty, and that's going to ruin this lap and the next one. So he's going slow. So I think he is going to finish up this lap. So I think he's going to call it day done here for this session. So a 30.831 is the time to beat TGIS. Oh, right at the end, hits him. So I think he's just trying to get a bit of slipstream, but can only get best for 6. Third dude will get 12, so that's definitely not going to be Pro-Am pole position. So Death Spawn will take that. Palmer will hold on for P9. James Head and Elliott amongst those trying to pass Ure as well as Swift. Actually, Swift is not even that far off of James Head, so we might be in prime position for a bit of a slipstream here, and that could really benefit Swift here. Benel 85 is not going to finish this lap. He will get P4 at most. So James Head going to come through the 2nd to final corner. Where is Elliott is the question. Where is Elliott is the question. So these two guys are going to come through. James Head going to come through as well as Swift. And so James Head going to come across the line with no improvement. But what about Swift? And Swift does improve to pole position with a 30.818. 13 thousandths faster than Ure. What a lap that was for Swift. And where is Elliott? No improvement by 89 thousandths of a second. What a tense qualifying this is. Doug Barrow and Hair Razor, the final two, gonna wrap it up, but no improvements for them. And a last gap pole position for Ure, or for Swift. Nags pole position. Now we are, ladies and gentlemen, back on the heels of a very, very tight qualifying session here today, and we're just about to get ready to go racing at the Autodrome de Interlagos, or the Autodrome de Carlos Pache, or I still don't even know how to this day pronounce it, so hopefully one of you can correct me on that, of course. But like I said, qualifying separated by only about 24 thousandths of a second between the top four of Swift, Ure, James Head, and Elliott, all looking to get top spots and honors for the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 Championship here. Once again, a combined Pro and Pro-Am class race here today. Also, Death Spawn getting that Pro-Am pole position by a significant margin on position-wise. And so now, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, for the Autodrome de Interlagos event. Swift on pole position, Ure, James Head, and Elliott occupying the top four. Ben 85 and TGI is rounding out 5th and 6th. Death Spawn's on pole position for the Pro-Am category. And on board now with the BMW of SLM Polymer. We'll go up our way to the Mercedes of Swift. The red lights are still on. When did they go off is the big question. The revving of the 6.3 liter V8 naturally aspirated, and it comes to life now as we go to green flag racing here. And a couple of the back markers, guys, actually got a good start. TGIS amongst them got a really good start. James Head following back a little bit as well. Ure lightly on the brakes. Oh, someone's gone wide, and that is TGIS. One of the Pro Class horses, and James Head as well has gone around. Ooh, a good qualifying performance for this young man. And also Ben L85 going down the pecking order as well. We're turning our attention back up to the front of the field now, where Swift leads the way. And keep in mind, these two, Swift and Ure, only separated by 27 points. So Ure on crucial mode here. He has to beat Swift to still remain within championship contention here for the most part. And even if it means getting one additional point, it would not matter. So Ure has to get at least a significant amount of points more than Swift here today to at least remain in championship contention in that Sidemax Motorworks Audi. Death Spawn's in the Pro-Am pole position car, Toyota Supra, the number 38, really jumping away from the pack behind in that Toyota Supra. We're actually getting a good bit of coverage since the lag spike for the first time that we had it yesterday. Swift completing the first lap in that 95 Mercedes-AMG GT3, which has been absolutely on it this entire season. But Ure gonna try and get him, stay within that slipstream, but the torque of that Mercedes is gonna be absolutely strong in a straight line. So Elliott as well. Elliott's going to grind up a bit close to this field. Oh, maybe go a bit too deep into the first turn with the straight line. Oh, on the curving a lot more than he was expecting. And there's Ryra in the 270 Lamborghini. Of course, this Lamborghini not really much high up in this championship as you would anticipate, but he's so good with this car. It's unbelievable. The Lamborghini is one of the more difficult cars to drive in this game, but Ryrock just can absolutely push it when he can. Death Spawn still leading the way in Pro-Am by a significant margin. Of course, the next guy up down is actually Grand J10, who also had a pretty good start as well. There's SLM Palmer, who had said he would be leaving the Straight Line Motorsports League at the end of the season, so we wish him farewell within the first of these last 4 races, or should I say 6 races, I should say, for this young driver, 14 years old. Oh, a little bit of a tap behind by Hair Raiser. Oh, someone's gone around, and who is that? That is James Head. So was James Head tapped around? It looks like there's some rear end damage on that Nissan GTR. And James Head, unfortunately, not having the best GT3 season, but he's been having a very good GT. He's having a good Mazda season for the most part. So we'll keep an eye out for this young man. Meanwhile, we'll turn our attention back up to the front of the field, where it is still oh so close indeed between these 3 guys, Swift, Ure, and Elliott. And so they're not letting a grasp up on one another. On board now with the 64 of Elliott from the driver's eye. The twin turbo V6. Trying to get as close as he can. Ooh, Swift a little bit wide. bit too much curving there, so might slow him up a little bit, but the straight line speed of that Nissan gonna pull these three cars really, really close to each other. Oh, this is absolutely close stuff for a lot of these guys. And you cannot ask for a closer session than there was now. These three guys, including James Head, all separated by 24 thousandths of a second. So any mistake can be a crucial one for these three cars. And we're going to flip the cameras to variable and get that little bit more action for y'all. Ryan Ross still in fourth. Despond's our Pro-Am leader, still in fifth overall. Palmer in sixth. Hair Razor in seventh for the Costa Honda SX getting a good start. TGIS. And then Doug Barrow with a 3.7 second penalties. Ben 85 has gotten himself up into P10. Second in the Pro-Am class. Durdu just a little bit ahead of Grand GT3, who's 1 point second in class, but now is third in class, but now 12th overall. There's Chris the Crow, second in the points for Pro-Am. James Head getting past the Viper of Carmon, or Cameron, I should say. We haven't seen much of this Viper, so it's good to see the 8.4 liter V10 chassis getting up. And Swift, actually no, not Swift, Ure has lost a position to Elliott, so the Audi a little bit down, possibly on performance, so we'll see what happens here for the most part, but that Nissan GT-R getting its way past the number 77 Cymax Motorworks Audi of Ure. And that is crucial for this championship, so any positions lost by Ure will be absolutely crucial for this championship because, like I said, he has to beat Swift here today to remain with the championship contention. These two guys, Swift and Ure, are only separated by 27 thousandths of, they're only separated by 27 points within the standings. And Ure, if he loses to Swift today, that means Swift would clinch the championship. So Ure still is in mathematical contention. He has to beat Swift on points here today if he wants any chance at a championship going for the Nürburgring Nordschleife in 2 weeks' time. So we'll turn our attention further away down the field where we have this battle going on. Three cars between TGIS, Doug Barrow, and Ben 85. Doug Barrow with that 3.7 second penalty. We're not sure where he got that from, but he's going to try and clear it the best way that he can. There's Ben 85 in the Toyota Supra. And so now Ben 85 with this Toyota Supra. He's been really kind to this Toyota Lexus chassis here. He started out with the Lexus RCF early season and then has switched to the Toyota Supra, and of course he's been really challenging for third place in the standings, although a bit too far off the top two of Swift and Ure. He can definitely still secure third place if he can beat Palmer, of course, because keep in mind, Palmer and Ben 85 are in a championship fight of their own. They're only separated by 1 point for the most part, and that, my friends, is very, very dicey stuff, of course. So there is the man that Ben 85 is rivaling at the moment, SLM Palmer in the 24 BMW M6 GT3. Of course, this man starting out with a compadre to Swift in the 95 Mercedes AMG. He started out with the Mercedes AMG, then switched on over to the BMW. Of course, he hasn't had the particular success that he had starting out with the beginning of the season, but he's been really on it for the most part. He goes in the ghost mode. I think it's just on the flash for the most part. We're not 100% sure about that. There is Death Spawns, who is still leading the way over Durdu, so he's coming through turn number 3 now. Where is Durdu for the most part, for second place? They're actually just coming through the turn 2 now. There's Grand J10, who's deja vuing it literally into turn number 1. And Durdu had a really, really close time for that car right there. Man, Despot's having an sizable Pro-Am lead at the moment in this 36. This Toyota Supra very, very much suited to this course. Ooh, Elliott getting a bit too wide into that said corner. He's behind Swift at the moment. On board now with the 95. from the rear bumper cam. Of course, Elliot's going to wait for his moment to strike in the super straight line speed Nissan GTR. Ooh, getting a bit more of a gap. This GTR not good at the corners, but he's going to try and set himself up perfectly for this straight where this car will come to life here. Look on board now with the Nissan from the driver's eye. Look at this gap now just closing up. All Yuri can do is just sit and watch as this draft goes away. Swift going to hang into the middle of the course, going to wait. Who's going to drift a little bit more to the outside? Elliott, ooh, didn't think about making a move there as of yet. Ooh, maybe a late dive onto turn number 1 on Swift, but nothing doing there as of yet. These guys still very, very close to one another, and they're not going to give each other any bit of room. Yuri in that Audi R8. The car very, very good in the corners, so not good on the speed, but good on the corners. So if he can try and close up and stay close to these guys and remain within the slipstream, he could save a bit of fuel for strategy, because he would have more fuel in the tank and less spent time in the pits. Ooh, Swift and Elliott taking a bit more curving than they would have anticipated. And once again, these guys really, really close back up to one another. About 10 minutes now elapsed into this race. There's Ryrot comfortably in P4 for the time being over 5th place in Pro, which is occupied by SLM Palmer. Back up to the front of the field now once again, where it looks like Elliott is a bit closer to the guy up front this time. Let's see how he can get a charge going for the lead. He's coming up. He's making a move. He's going to think about making a move. He's going to stick to the racing line. He's going to think about making a move down to the inside. It's going to be the big question. No, he's going to stay comfortably behind. Try and keep the pressure going on the 5-time season winning 95 of Swift. So Swift at the moment, not thinking about the opposition, but more or less trying to keep his car on the racing line. Oh, a bit of a lockup for one of those cars. I think it was the 77 of Yuri. Oh, big tank slapper out of the corner for Elliott. Really big tank slapper for Elliott out of turn number 4. Work our way down the field once again, where it is still this battle between TGIS and Hair Razor. I think Doug Barrow's backed off quite a fair bit for the most part. Excuse me about that. TGIS in this Porsche 911 RSR. Of course, he's ran a couple of machines here in the past. One of them being the BMW M6, the mighty big boy that everyone loves and references a lot. Still trying to keep up, of course. Doug Barrow all the way in P9 in class. James Head 10th. Still trying to make the way on up if they can. Oh, position change for the lead, and it looks like Swift is going to start. Oh, that's going to be a kind of a corner cut for Swift. That was caught on stream. And of course, that is going to give Swift a 5/10 penalty. So that corner cut, very visibly seen on the stream. And you guys will see it too. That's given Swift a 5/10 penalty, so of course, oh, just jeez. And Swift all over the back bumper of this 64 Nissan GTR. And now it's going to give a bit less points to Swift and a bit more life to Yuri if he can counteract and get back past the 95. Oh, there was more contact there. I think Elliott might have parked it up a little bit. Is that going to be more of a penalty coming for Swift? I don't think it is, but they come pretty late. And I think it's going to be a racing incident for that slight bit of contact. No damage sustained between the two. Oh, very, very skatey out of the corner. Swift taking a bit more curving. So let's see how the Mercedes is good on the straight line. Speed on board now with the Brit in the 95 in the driver's eye. Elliott gonna think about making a move to the inside. He's gonna move down to the inside. Swift to the outside. What's the Mercedes got in for its tires? Nothing doing there. Elliott's gonna hold on for now for the race lead. Ooh, questionable corner cut for Swift once again. So as he tries to take a bit more curving than anticipated. And Ure doing, in my opinion, the smart thing to do and just kind of sit back and relax. He's got the most fuel in the tank out of everybody because he's had a slipstream, and I think if he keeps this up, he takes the same amount of fuel as these guys. He could really be in a good prime position to hold out for this second stint, or third stint for the most part, depending on if these guys make one or two stops. So we're coming up to that first cycle of stops coming soon. Excuse me about that. Swift getting one of his tenths on down, back down to 4/10 of a second's penalty. Guys, oh, Elliott having a bit worse exit out of that sector 2 sector, out of that second sector for the third sector. Now it's all straight away. That mistake might have held up Swift and have gotten Ure back up into this fight. Oh, this is going to be dicey stuff right here. On board now with the 64. He's going to go to the racing line, but still kind of hold his grudge. Swift's going to move to the inside. Oh, he's actually going to serve a bit of his penalty rather than try and make a move, which is smart on his part. So all of these guys playing these cards very smart at the moment. And Swift, I think, on his mind is looking for redemption for last time out. Because, of course, he would have wished for a better result to try and clinch the championship last time by at Brands Hatch. Ooh, a bit more wider for Swift. So I think Ure might be thinking about making a move, if not just staying behind and trying to force a mistake out of Swift for the most part. Keep an eye on this battle. Once again, we'll return our attention to Ryrock, who's not that far behind. Of course, he's not setting the fastest lap at the moment. Palmer has got by our Pro-Am class leader, Deathspawn, for 5th overall. There's Deathspawn, of course, just slightly ahead of the TGIS 78 Porsche Element RSR, the number 78. And then one of the Costa Honda NSXs of Hair Razor. And there's Benel 85. James Head, of course, not that far back. 4.2 seconds penalty now for Doug Barrows, so something's happened to him. James Head a little ways away. There's Grand J10. And Deathspawn has an incisable lead for this Pro-Am lead at the moment. So, if anything, he is just absolutely running away with this lead at the moment. So turn our attention once again back for this lead battle at the moment. On board now with the Spaniard, SLM Ure, in that Simax Motorworks Audi R8 LMS. The Audi Sport Team Simax Motorworks. Ooh, Swift taking a bit much more curving than anticipated. Might have forced it understeer a little bit, and this is going to start to allow Elliott to get away and open up a bit of a sizable gap for the most part. Ure just doing the right thing and just holding off, because this is really benefiting him for fuel strategy. Because look at the fuel difference that Ure has compared to the leaders. It's not much, but it could be very crucial considering these cars qualified only 24 thousandths of a second apart from one another. And so now we'll back down to this battle where it's getting very busy, like it's New York City at the moment. TGIS all over the back bumper of this Toyota Supra GT3. He's going to have a good run. He's going to have a good run. And I don't think Deathspawn is going to make that. Ooh, you know what? I think that Toyota is going to actually be holding up TGIS for the most part. I don't think it's going to matter much, but it could help. And And so we'll see where strategy comes into play with about a minute and a half from the 20-minute mark. Swift's got to run to the outside. He's briefly held the lead. Gonna understeer off into the marbles. Actually got it saved for the most part. Elliott's gonna move to the inside. On board now with the Brit. Gonna move aggressive back to the right. Elliott moves back to the outside racing line. And if you're hearing, you're thinking to yourself, this is absolutely insane. Oh, Swift! I think he's on the absolute edge of wheel lock, so I think those fronts are starting to show their wear. And so now this will play an interesting part in strategy. Someone's in the pits already, so who is that on pits? That's actually Hairraiser, who's one of the first pro guys to pit just before the 20-minute mark. So there's Carmon in, oh no, Cameron, I should say, one of the SRT Vipers. Actually, Elliott just goes right through him. All these guys just actually go right on through him. And Cameron moving very, very slowly at the moment. And these guys just going right on through him. So I'm not sure if that's going to be a disconnect of any kind. Swift, on the other hand, has gotten back to the lead of this race. So Swift back in the lead. Actually, no, Swift and Ure are both going to come into the pits. And you see the fuel difference there, 6 liters. So let's see how these guys go about for strategy. Elliott is going to stay on out. So Ben95, Death Spawn, our Pro-Am leader, also in the pits. So pit cycle starting to come in. James Head as well into the pits. Ure, on the other hand, where is Swift? And Swift has been beaten out by Ure. So this is good for Ure's part to try and stay ahead. Who else is in the pits for the most part? Not much for pit cycle for the time being. We'll go back up to this battle. Ure and Swift out. So where is Elliott for the most part? He's still within the mid sector at the moment. He's going to be lower on fuel than these guys. Ryra, Huller, TGIS amongst the guys to come into the pits, as well as Doug Barrow. But Doug Barrow is just right in front of Ure and Swift. I think Ure's going to be desperate to try and get quickly past this Honda NSX, and he does get by. No, he does not. So Ure having to really hold up for Doug Barrow, and this is not good for him in terms of strategy. He wants to get by that Honda. Actually, Doug Barrow goes wide. Oh! Actually, for a second, very wide off the course. And, of course, that made it easy for Swift. There's Elliott into the pits. Ryra is going to still stay on out. And Palmer will come in, as well as TGIS. So the second half of these guys coming into the pits. And so, for the most part, Ure and Swift going to make it by. Where does Elliott come out in contrast to this? And Elliott, not visible on the screen as of yet. Oh, when I heard that Nissan, I think he's really about. Wow, Swift and Ure have had incredibly quick, faster outlaps than the Nissan. Did the Nissan fill up more? No! So very quick outlaps for these guys. And not a good in-lap for Elliott. So he's lost a significant amount of time to these two at the moment. So Ure and Swift, the two championship leaders, out in front. And so Ure still doing the right thing. That fuel strategy definitely working in his favor. Of course, Ure putting less fuel in the tank than Swift. That is expected. And a purple sector once again for Ure, so he's looking at a fast lap here. Of course, this is also crucial for the champions as well. If Ure can get this fastest lap as well over Swift or Elliott, that would be crucial as well, because that would be one additional bonus point as well, and that would close the gap down to 26 points as well. Ryra in the pits as well. So the 270 Lamborghini also in the pits. And where does Ure? So does Ure place himself at the fastest lap? No, purple sector first time by. James Head actually has the fastest lap of the race with a 30.893 for Ure, but the fastest lap is a 30.881 for James Head. So James Head, who's well down the order in that number 7 Nissan GTR, pacing the field at the moment. So might he have some questions to be answered for the guys up in front. Here's Christopher, one of the Blancpain Aston Martins. Where is his teammate as well, Durdude? And I've just noticed that Cameron in the Viper has retired from this race. So there is Durdude, who's surprisingly third in class at the moment. There is Grand J10, second place in the 15 Nissan, and then Deathspawns, who has been absolutely dominating this Pro-Am race from start to finish. Has been really unchallenged by his Pro-Am class competitors. So Deathspawns, although not entirely, is probably looking set to take a first-time class win here in the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 Championship, of course. Interesting to note that Ben95 has actually gotten up into P4 after those first set of pit stop cycles. So last time we saw him, really, he was in 10th place, so he gained really 6 positions on that pit stop cycle. And he's really looking to really advance up the pecking order, of course. These Toyota Supras really, really quick here around the Interlagos circuit, of course. There's Elliott, who's well behind. Oh, look at this now. Year 8, they're having to look to try and start defending from the championship leader. And this is going to be the fight for Ure's life at the moment, because he's going to be really, really desperate here to keep Swift behind, because this is not only just for who's going to get the race win, but it's also for championship points as well. Ure has to beat Swift on points today if he wants any chance of becoming pro champion by the end of the season. And keep in mind, next course as well, we go to the Nürburgring Nordschleife as well, the ultimate test for all of these drivers, of course. And so these guys just really, really on it here, of course. So I'll give you the guys the championship standings at the moment for, once again, the second time as well. Once again, like I said, Swift leading the Pro Championship standings with 182 points, with 5 wins as well to boot. So he has been, in terms of win status, Swift easily takes the most wins out of the season. But keep in mind, he can still have at least 50% winning ratio in this season if he gets at least this win or wins the Nordschleife event in 2 weeks' time. Ure, on the other hand, only has 2 wins, but his incredible consistency has kept them still within this championship hunt. Goes to the inside. Ure is once again on board now with the Mercedes AMG of Swift. And I think Ure just doing the best he can to break the toe, because I don't think he wants any fuel advantage given for Swift at the moment. Of course, Swift still with that 4/10 penalty from that shortcut earlier that you saw on the stream, so he's still having to try and serve it. But at the same time, he's just still really, really on at the jagged edge here of how much can he push. Tire wear is better for the Audi, most certainly. Swift having better power, but he consumes more fuel and more tires than that Audi is. So for strategy's sake, that Audi is way better handling for this circuit. So, and I'll continue with the champion standing once again. So Ure, who you're seeing at the moment in that Audi Sports SideMax Motorworks entry, is the 77. He's only behind Swift by 27 points. And you can tell how crucial it is for Ure to beat Swift here today, because if Swift can at least beat Ure, that would give more points swinging towards Swift, and there's a maximum of 26 points possible for each event. So Ure is on absolute SOS mode at the moment. He's got to be absolutely on it here today if he wants any chance of a championship win. There he goes. Ure moves to the inside, then quickly back to the outside. He doesn't want to get too much of an advantage towards Swift for fuel mileage sake. And so if Ure can be able to get that extra bonus point for the fastest lap as well and keep Swift well on his toes behind him, All Swift really has to do is minimize the damage dealt the most that he can. And of course, if Swift is able to get a good result here and another good result next time by, Swift is set to take the GT3 Pro Championship in the Straight Line Motorsports League. There's Elliott, who's pretty much at the moment in hot pursuit by Ben LD5. Of course, Ben LD5 occupying third within the pro standings, sitting at 118 points, well out of the championship hunt, of course. But he's got a championship fight of his own for third place, because this man right here, SLM Polymer, is only 1 point behind the German Ben LD5 for third place in the standings. So these guys are having a championship fight of their own, as a fact. Yuri, I think, getting the fastest lap, and he does. So Yuri getting that extra bonus point for now in that 77 Audi R8. And now that would be crucial, because provisionally that would put these two down to 26 points at most. So, and that will give Yuri a fastest lap so far. Of course, Swift has more fuel than Yuri at the moment, so for Swift, this is good for fuel mileage. And the gap now very, very much closing down between these two. Swift and Yuri just absolutely on it here today at Interlagos. If anything, this is really just like, I want to say, just, you know, Lewis Hamilton against Pierre Gasly for the most part for the final lap of this race. Because these guys are really, really, really on it here today. No one's giving each other any bit of room to work with here. It's all just going to come down to who's faster and who's better on strategy at the moment. And at the moment, better tires for the Audi, but better fuel mileage for that Mercedes. Cornering for Audi, straight line speed for Mercedes. Who's going to be able to come alive here late in this season? This is the penultimate race of the season, coming to you live from Interlagos. Post-race coverage of the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 race here, combined Pro and Pro-Am race here for the Straight Line Motorsports League. And so it's all going to come down to the final lap of this race. It's all going to come down to potentially this race, if not the next race, if Yuri can beat Swift on pace here today. And Elliott now having to withstand a charge from the hard-charging German of Ben LD5. And so these Toyota Supras really on it here today. There is Death Spawns, still our Pro-Am leader, who is actually 5th overall and is really outpacing some of these pro guys in this Toyota Supra. So he is absolutely on it here today for the most part. James Head getting himself back up into PA. Oh, someone's gone around. That's Ryra! And Ryra has gone around. Oh, this is not good for the Lamborghini Huracan of Ryra. So did he spin it out himself? There's no damage on the car, so I'm assuming that might be unassisted. Oh, duck barrel. Oh, just nearly ran right into him. And so, unfortunately for Ryra, it might be day done for him unless he has an absolute comeback that he's got coming for. Swift and Yuri still going on it for the most part. Swift and Yuri, Swift's fastest lap, a 130.812, and Yuri with a 30.789. So these guys, just an absolutely insane close margin between these guys for fastest lap. It's only separated by 23,000 of a second for the most part. Like I said, going back to that 24,000 of a second, you cannot ask for any close competition here within the SLM league, of course. Swift still with that 410 penalty, which he will have to serve definitely by the end of this race, so Yuri having to keep him on edge. And I think with Yuri just pushing a little bit more aggressively than normal, he's gonna have to keep Swift on his toes a little bit and keep that penalty at bay, because Swift, he doesn't want to lose that slipstream advantage that he's got with that Audi. Of course, it doesn't get off well out of the corners, because of the straight line speed advantage that Mercedes has got. And if Swift can keep that gap down significantly, where he's still slipstreaming with that Audi R8. Ooh, flash to the lights as well from Swift. And it's just going to be really, really close here for the most part for a lot of these guys. Swift now still trying to keep up with Yuri in any way, shape, or possible. You know what? I think, Swift's making a lot of mistakes all of a sudden, and I think that's because of the fact that Swift is running out of tire wear for the most part. So, are those Pirelli slicks starting to show their wear for the most part? That Audi on prime Michelin slicks. And I think that Swift's gotten that penalty down to 3/10 now. So, is that tire wear on that Mercedes starting to show its age? With coming to just about 6 minutes until the next pit stop cycle and potentially the final pit stop cycle. So, can Swift gain a bit of time within these pit stop strategies? Elliott, for the most part, led a bit of this race earlier on. I think he's well out of the race win potential here at the moment, unless a mistake happens for the top two. But at the moment, he's having to really, really resist the charge now from Ben85, who's just really, really trying to get the upper hand on his main championship rival. And Ben85 throws one up to the inside, bit of contact for the most part, but Elliott's going to get he's going to hold on to that inside line. And so, was there a bit of a penalty you handed? No, there was not. So, these two now all of a sudden having a battle at night on their own. And so now, once again, on board with the German Ben85 in his Toyota Supra, number 8. Going down to the inside. Oh, Ben85 is going to throw it up the inside, late on the brakes. Fully on the brakes. I saw a glimpse of the red glowing brakes, and what a move that was for Ben L85 in that number 8 Toyota Supra. You could have not. He was literally on the edge of that braking, and there's that Nissan GTR, but that Toyota Supra well better on the brakes. Oh, and actually, Elliott's thrown a fake. He's thrown a fake, and he's quickly gone by the number 8 of Ben L85. And a 4.9 second penalty for Ben L85. So, I'm not sure what the case of that was, but is that one of those controversial penalties once again for Ben L85? A 5-second penalty for the German. And very, very unfortunate. I think that might have been Elliott having a slight tap on Ben L85, but Ben L85 giving hand at the penalty. I'm not sure what the case with that is for the most part. So we'll come back to this battle for the most part. Palmer still in 5th overall. TGIS in 6th. He's finally gotten by the Toyota Supra of Deathspawn. Deathspawn still leading the way over his nearest Pro-Am rival at the moment, which in this case is the Pro-Am Championship leader, Durdude. And so you're talking about like half the racetrack for the most part. And Deathspawn going to come in now for the pits, as well as Ben L85. And these guys also going to come on in for their final stops, and it's going to be much, much more fuel in the tank. So there's James Head now back up into P6. What a comeback he's had for the most part. He's really had to pull his weight here to get really back into this championship, into this race. So Swift a ways back now from Ure. He's losing a bit of time. That's because of the fact that the tire wear is really not helping out for the most part. Ure, on the other hand, is really, really low on that fuel level. So he's definitely going to think about pitting soon. This time by, if not the next time by. And I would not be surprised if he's going to try and go for another lap. As a matter of fact, he's going to stay on out. No, yeah, he's going to stay on out. Swift, on the other hand, will come in this time by. So strategy is going to change. So Swift's going to try the undercut here for the most part. And this will either make or break for the 95. And Swift's got to have an absolutely really quick outlap here if he wants any chance of trying to get back to the race leader, SLM URA. Is that TGI's come out? Oh, that is Swift out now. He's going to come out behind the BMW of SLM Polymer. And so for the most part, is Swift, who comes out in P4. Where is Ure? He is in Sector 2 at the moment. Swift has just entered Sector 2 for the most part. So James Head coming out of the pits as well. A strategy, I love it. Strategy changing at its finest. Swift is going to take a very bold risk here late in this race, so this is going to be very interesting here. Ure, no questions asked, going to come into the pits this time by, as is Elliott. And there is the side management works, the Audi, coming into the pits now as we speak. So Ure having to put the right amount of fuel in the tank. Tires, new set of Michelin's coming on now. And this was either going to make or break Ure for the championship hunt. The fuel going in. Elliott also into the pits. That's not a surprise. But where is Swift? He's coming across the start finish line now. He's about very close. But where is Ure? He's going to come out now. We'll keep an eye on Swift. There is Ure coming out of the pits now on your screen. And where does Ure come out in contrast to Swift? They're both rounding that fast sweeping left-hander. And we'll go on board now with Ure, who's going to be... So where is... And there is Swift still behind. So a 30.9 for Swift on that outlap. That is a rather quick lap for the most part. And Harry's are getting up into P3, but of course he will have to pit as well, unfortunately. Elliott coming out into P3. Ben 85 still that 5-second-ish penalty in P5. And this, my friends, is where strategy starts to get really interesting for the most part. Because, like I said, this will either A, make or break one of these drivers. And so Ure and Swift, it's going to come down to the penultimate race of the season, whether if Ure is still able to maintain a championship contention at the moment. Swift, on the other hand, just trying to do the most that he can to stay within close proximity. A 30.66 for Ure, so a definite faster lap for Ure on that time by. Hairraiser, of course, coming into the pits in the 69 Honda NSX. And of course, a lot of these guys going to go on by, of course, Netspawn, our Pro-Am race leader at the moment, part of that. Back up to the front of the field, where it is still Ure once again, still leading the way. Swift, of course, he doesn't have many second place finishes to his credit. As a matter of fact, if it's one place that he usually ends up on the podium, it's definitely on the top step. So, and if you think about it here, the only time Swift has really come second place to Ure, for the most part, is when Ure has won races before. So, like I said, when Ure has won at Fuji, Swift was right behind him. in second place. When Yuri won at Red Bull Ring, that was an absolute soaker of a race. Swift came second, so we're looking at another repeat here as well for second place finishes for Swift. He actually has no third place finishes for the most part, and that just comes to show you how really good Swift is at this series. And also, for the most part, Swift, in terms of podium races, besides the Bathurst race where he did not start, Swift has only finished off the podium twice this season. That being at Dragon Trail and that being at Brands Hatch. Krista Crow getting out of the way for those guys who are absolutely on it now for a race win here and for championship points. Someone in the pits at the moment. We'll get a quick glimpse of who that is. That is actually Doug Barrow in the 13 on at a 6. Ryra as well, also into the pits. There is Dirtude, our pro and leader, championship leader. There's a ways away back from Despond, so Dirtude now coming into the first corner. Whereas Despond is literally on the other side of the track from second place in Pro-Am, just literally unchallenged by his Pro-Am rivals at the moment. We'll take you on board now for a lap up Interlagos with Swift while he's still hunting down Urine. Is a lap of the Autodrome de Carlos Pache. I think I said that correctly finally. By the 95 of Swift, who still continues to pursue down Ure. And I like what Ure is doing here with this move out of the slipstream, because what Ure is really trying to do is that he's got all the time in the world between himself and Swift. And what I think it's really doing is that he moves out of the way towards turn number 4. And he does that just so he can try and break up a little bit of the slipstream and get himself a bit of an advantage. It's not really defined about doing anything like that in the rule book, because he can move over there, and that's free real estate, of course. Not trying to intend to be one, of course, but you know, he does it. I think it's just because of the fact that, you know, he doesn't want to try and give Swift any good hits and benefits at the moment. Swift now with that 2 tenths penalty now still. He's really had that penalty for the most part all race long. Yuri being very, very clean on the racetrack for the most part. And now we'll turn our attention to Ben L85. Who once again gets the upper hand on Elliott, sitting comfortably in 3rd place in that Toyota Supra GT3. There is Elliott in the 64. Like I said, led this race early on. Ooh, down a bit of a move by SLM Polymer in that BMW against TJIS in that portion of Menara SAR. There's Death Spawn still in P7 overall, first in the Pro-Am class. Ooh, bit of a battle going on between these two right here. And of course, Polymer is going to still keep it on the inside, but TJIS is going to keep it on the outside right now. These two still by 2 by 2. And we've seen TJIS make similar moves here in the past in the MX5 Cup Series, hosted by the SLM League as well. And if it's a place where TJIS can really benefit from a couple of mistakes, it would definitely be this course, but this time it is full-fledged GT3 machinery compared to the Cup cars that are normally run here as well. A couple people coming out of the pits for the most part. It's Ryra and Grand J10. So, oh my goodness me! Oh, jeez! A big crash for Ryra. And is that going to be day done for him? I'm not sure if it is. He slowed up. Nope, he's still going. I don't know what he's doing here. What in the world is he doing? Yeah, I don't know what Ryra really is doing. I'm not sure what Ryra in that 270 Lamborghini is really doing at the most part. I think he's just kind of, I don't want to say given up, really, but I think that's just kind of what it's come down to be honest. So, Chris the Crow just right behind him. So I don't know what's going to happen for the most part. Yeah, Ryra is just going to instantly fall down to 14th overall. And I'm not sure. I think he's going to take that car to pits and probably retire it for the most part. But I think he's just going to try and keep on going to the end of this race, if anything, really. We'll see here. Chris the Crow actually coming to the pit. Oh yeah, he's got a pit. Oh, for fuel. That's not a surprise. Turn our attention now to these two, where Swift has really lost it to Ure. Let's see if anything happened on the timesheets. Let's see here. 45.3 for Swift last time by in Sector 2, so he's had a bit of an incident somewhere for the most part. This battle for 6th place, or 5th place I should say, between SLM Polymer and TJIS still erupting, of course. BMW and Porsche, both German machinery, but they both would like to get the more points if they can. So once again, Ben 85 still having to contend with a bit of traffic, including that 270 Lamborghini of Ryra. And he's going to show the flicker of the lights. I think he's telling him to get out of the way. He doesn't want to get too held up by him, of course. He just wants to just get out of the way if he can, because he does have a GTR that is on his tail, and he's not that far off right there as we speak. Oh, Death Spawn gonna come into the pits this time by. I think he really pushed it on that third third stint, I should say. So a bit of fuel going into the tank, not much, of course. He doesn't want to make the same mistake at Le Mans he did a couple weeks ago, where he underfilled the car. He had a chance for a pro-am potential victory, but of course underfilled, and that's what made the difference between himself and their dude, of course. Oh, Swift getting a bit too wide, so I think the tire wear might be starting to show its age once again for that Mercedes. And this is going to be slowly but surely giving Ure a bit more confidence in that 77 Cymax Motorworks out of sport entry. And so the tire wear now, like I said, is starting to show, is really showing its age now, as Swift, who, like I said, put a really good effort on earlier today, and for the most part today, for this whole 60-minute race. And I think for this Mercedes-AMG GT3, it's not going to be close enough for him to be able to get a 6th win of the season. There is Benel 85, who is in 3rd, and you have the 270 Lamborghini of Raira, who's a little bit of ways away. There is Elliott, still in P4, still trying to fight 4 points where possible. Palmer TGIS still having battle of his own. As a matter of fact, James Head has actually just joined the party. And I think things are about to get a bit dicey here for the most part between these 3 guys. James Head, like I said, who put on a very good qualifying performance here. I think he put on, I forget off the top of my head, we'll look that out. At the beginning of the race, he fell all the way down to P12. As a matter of fact, he fell all the way down to P15 in the first few laps of this race. Wouldn't it be a great day for him if he's able to come back and finish in the top 5 overall? And so, Aston Palmer could really focus on what's ahead of him, because behind him in that mirror you see a portion of an RSR and the old and a Nissan GTR behind, and Swift coming into the pits, so he is going to fortify that first place finish. He's actually underfueled just a little tad, so I think he's doing this just to try and get to comfortably secure P2. And Elliott F64 is also in the pits, so this is going to be huge drama for Elliott as these 3 guys, Palmer and TGIS, side by side going into turn number 1. And this battle for what is now 4th place now, because Elliott, who made a critical error, who underfilled now, is going to be very well behind, of course, on strategy. And these guys now going to fight for an even loftier P4 now in this race. And like we said, Swift, who fortified that 2nd place, which is now comfortably in the hands of Yuri at the moment. He has nothing to fear at the moment. All he can really do now is just, like I said, sail on his way to victory lane with just about 3 minutes to go. Whereas Elliott, in contrast to all this, he's actually not that far off, so if he's able to pull some kind of comeback together, he can really see himself back up still within P4. However, Palmer has got a lot of work to do, and he's got a lot of things to juggle on his mind right now. So number 24 BMW just doing the best that he can to stay within close proximity. And of course, keep in mind, Palmer and Benel 85 have got a championship fight of their own, so Palmer is just at this rate just trying to minimize the damage lost at the moment. But you got TGIS, who is on an absolute charge. He shows the flash of lights at the moment. Oh, you can just see how quick those gear changes are within that BMW M6. This portion of the RSR, this 991, one of the most successful chassis on the planet. He won the IMSA's GT11 drivers, teams, and manufacturers championship in 2019, so it's had a illustrious career. James Head is going to throw one up the inside, and he's going to make the move stick for a top 5 finish at the moment. Wouldn't he love it for a 4th place to make it even sweeter than it already is? He's already looking at for a 4th place on Palmer at the moment. I will set James Head again. Very, very nice stuff. James Head looked at the inside. He showed the car in all that right side, in that right driver side mirror, or passenger side mirror, I should say, in that M6 GT3. And it is going to be turbo versus, it's going to be turbo M6 versus twin turbo GTR. The Godzilla is looking down at the GTR of James Head. And so, Yuri still leading away. He's actually kind of cooled down the pace a little bit, so he's setting 31s comfortably right now, so he's really got nothing to lose. Swift is actually, he's gotten the fastest lap. So that's another bonus point going for Swift now. And I think late in this mind game now that I think Swift has realized it's not about the champion, it's not about this race, it's about trying to get as much points as you can away from Yuri, and that bonus point is going to be definite because what once was Yuri's fastest lap is now Swift's fastest lap by a considerable margin, a 30.698, just about a 10th faster than Yuri at the moment. This battle of the bands still raging on. 10 seconds to go in this race. And it has been a long time coming since Red Bull Ring. Of course, this will mean that Yuri will still be in the championship hunt for this race win here. Yuri will come across the start-finish line to win round number 11 here at the Interlagos Autodrome de Carlos Pache. And Swift, who put on an absolute show, steals the fastest lap point by a small margin and will get that extra bonus point as well. Benel 85 will come home for P3 after coming back really, really hard as well. But will he remain on the 3rd step of the podium here as TGIS and James Head? James Head's actually gotten a bit himself of a penalty. He's going to serve it now, and he's going to fall down to P6. TGIS coming home for P4, P5 for James Head. Palmer in 6th at the line. Elliott in 7th place. Death Spawn will come home for Pro-Am Honors. He actually runs out of fuel at the line, so he'll come home for P8 overall and first in Pro-Am, I should say. Hairraiser and Doug Barrow round out the top 10 of the grid. Grand Tana Ryra finishing off 3rd and 4th in Pro-Am. Durdude and Doug Barrow, the last of the cars to come across the line. But Yuri will have another chance at the Nordschleife to challenge for the championship hunt. Swift has stolen that fastest lap point, that final point, and we're going to be looking at a very, very tight race as well. So Yuri, a flashback to the Red Bull Ring when Yuri won at the very soaked Red Bull Ring circuit. And of course, he reigned supreme again for the 3rd time this season as well. So Yuri, the championship pro category. He's got to beat Swift by a significant margin next time by, but we will only find out. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you did enjoy that post-race coverage of the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 Pro and Pro-Am combined championship race. If you did enjoy, please leave a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you are interested enough, we are, of course, recruiting drivers for our next season of racing, which will be the Ferrari World Challenge Series, which will be the Ferrari 458, GT3, GT4 cars for some multi-class racing, and we also have the Super Formulas as well, dubbed the Formula 3 as well. Maximum power, maximum weight, minimum power, and of course, they are going to be our next 2 championships as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you did enjoy this penultimate showing of the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 Pro and Pro-Am combined race as well. If you did enjoy, like I said, leave a like, be subscribed, and if you are interested, please drop us your entry to show your interest as well. And if you did enjoy, I hope you did enjoy as well. I have been the host and commentator for today's race, SD_RDZ, and it is going to be an absolute blast at the Nordschleife. So stay tuned, guys, in 2 weeks' time for that. Next week, we will have the Mazda MX-5 Cup cars going at it, of course, at the, if I can see here, at the Nürburgring circuit before going to, I don't know what that final circuit is, but we will go to the Nürburgring for the penultimate weekend of the MX-5 Cup class, where it is also another tight championship. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. I've been the host commentator for today's race, SD_RDZ, and we will see you guys next time.